The Vale Crown Mall on a Saturday was worship. Glass sunlight pouring like gold, designer bags swinging, children laughing beneath crystal chandeliers. The kind of place where power didn't whisper, it gleamed. Then the screaming began. A shock wave of gasps rippled through the marble foyer as a billionaire's hand closed around a maid's throat. Ethan Vale, tailored navy suit, cufflinks worth more than a family car, jaw locked in icy fury as if the world itself had offended him. His fingers pressed into Camilla Reyes's neck, not with frantic rage, but with quiet ownership, calculated force, a man who never questioned whether he could. Phones lifted, hands trembled. Security guards formed a wall, shielding their king instead of the victim. "Sir, please," one stammered. "Stand down." Ethan's voice was calm, almost bored. He wasn't shouting. Monsters never needed volume. Camilla didn't claw, didn't kick. Her hands stayed at her sides, the simple maid uniform still crisp against her unmoving frame. Her body was perfectly still, too still. Not fear, not shock. Patience, predatory, silent. Her pulse barely changed. Her eyes, deep, unreadable, stared at Ethan like she was memorizing the shape of his downfall. Someone in the crowd whispered, "Why isn't she fighting?" Another, "Who is she?" A child peeked from behind a mother's coat. A teenager swallowed, recording through shaking fingers. The mall fountain behind them kept singing, oblivious. Ethan leaned closer, breath ice against her cheek. "You think you're untouchable here?" And then she spoke, soft enough only he should have heard. Yet somehow every bystander felt the words hit the air like a dropped blade. "You have no idea," she murmured, voice unnervingly steady, "what you just resurrected." A flicker, microscopic, crossed Ethan's expression. Recognition? No, but instinct, primal, ancient, like a predator stumbling into a bigger shadow. Before he could respond, the first security alarm cracked through the air. A digital trill, a single bright pulse, a moment that should have broken the tension. Instead, it sealed it. Camilla's gaze sharpened, not pleading, not panicked, calculating, as if chains were nothing new, as if she'd worn worse, and buried the hands that put them there. For one suspended second, the world held its breath. A gasp. A phone clattered to the marble. Someone whispered, trembling, "She looks dangerous?" Ethan's grip tightened instinctively, ego defending itself. Cameras flashed. A mall employee sobbed quietly behind a jewelry counter. Camilla's voice cut through again, colder this time. "You should have let me stay invisible." Freeze frame. Shocked faces. Ethan's grip. Camilla's stillness. Not victim, not prey, but a storm waiting for the wrong wind. Mall chatter fading to a pulse. A narrator tone rises, not loud, but heavy. Before this mall became a battlefield, there was a warning. Back before a billionaire touched the wrong throat, before a ghost from the underworld put on a maid's uniform and tried to live small, before the cameras rolled and the world chose sides. Rewind, glittering halls snap backward. Crowd unstirs, hands lower, fountain reverses its fall, because every war starts long before the first blow lands. And this one began the day a man born to power thought loyalty could be bought, and a woman born to violence tried to hide her throne. Below is Chapter 2, The King of Polished Glass. 500 words, seamless tone continuation, billionaire POV, rewind, the frozen crowd, the trembling phones, the maid who did not bow. It all dissolved into glimmering gold and polished silence. Back to when the Vale Crown Mall still breathed worship instead of dread. Back to the man who believed marble and fear were the foundations of civilization. Ethan Vale stood before a 12-meter wall of glass in his penthouse office overlooking his empire. His reflection stared back, sculpted jaw, cold eyes, confidence carved from privilege, and sharpened by hunger. A king surveying a kingdom built on polished floors and trembling employees. People didn't just buy in his malls, they behaved in them. Respectful, silent, small. His father used to say, "In a marble empire, even dust knows its place." Ethan believed it. He lived it. He was raised in boardrooms instead of playgrounds. His childhood lullabies were whispered business deals and the sound of servants being dismissed for breathing wrong. He remembered being 9 watching his father fire a chef because the soup arrived lukewarm. We don't tolerate weakness. That was the lesson. The only one that mattered. Most children broke toys in tantrums. Ethan learned to break people quietly, with a word, a signature, a look. Rule by polish, rule by fear. Rule without ever raising your voice. "Sir?" A gentle knock, fragile as glass. His assistant, Serena, entered, precise posture, designer heels trembling slightly. She never sat unless told. No one did in Ethan's presence. "There's an issue." Her voice thinned. "A staff report from the mall. A cleaner filed a complaint." Ethan didn't turn. He adjusted a cufflink worth her yearly salary, eyes still on his empire. Cleaners don't file complaints. A simple truth in his mind. Gravity, economics, order. Serena swallowed. She claims she witnessed misconduct. Says you... He raised one hand. Silence dropped instantly. A slow, cold smile worked across his lips. "A maid challenging me?" He finally faced her, eyes amused and hungry for the correction he would deliver to the universe. "There is an order to life, Serena. The chandelier glitters. The broom sweeps. The crown commands." Serena lowered her gaze. Submission. Expected. Natural. "Should I dispose of the file?" He nodded once. "And the maid?" she whispered. Ethan's fingers tapped the desk, smooth, confident, lethal in rhythm. "A reminder," he murmured. "Some people only understand hierarchy when they feel it around their throat. No anger, just certainty. Not a man planning a crime, a ruler enforcing nature." His reflection smirked back, perfect and merciless. "I will make an example of her," he said quietly, as if discussing wine selection. "No one rises from dust in my world." Outside his window, the mall glimmered below, all gold, glass, and worship, a kingdom without rebellion. Or so he believed, because somewhere under those shining floors, a ghost in a maid's uniform was preparing to undo his throne with silence sharper than knives. And he had just chosen her as his next lesson. Morning light spilled through Vale Crown Mall like melted gold, catching marble floors, glittering storefronts, and polished chrome railings. A paradise for the wealthy, a stage for the forgotten. Camilla Reyes wiped down the glass elevator panels with a steady hand, her reflection fractured into slivers. Just another uniform. Just another quiet worker blending into expensive air. But her body betrayed a different truth. Back straight, shoulders aligned, footsteps silent, balanced, ready. Not the gait of a cleaner, the stance of someone once trained to survive rooms where breathing wrong got you killed. Most staff avoided meeting her eyes. Something about her quietness unsettled them. Not hostility, not arrogance, precision. She never lingered near walls. They limited escape routes. She never bent fully. She crouched, weight balanced on the balls of her feet, every muscle ready to fire. Each window became a mirror she used to watch behind her. To anyone passing, she looked ordinary. To anyone who'd ever hunted or been hunted, her silence was a language. A cart rolled behind her. A simple squeak. Normal. Yet Camilla's fingers twitched toward a spray bottle like it was a holstered blade. A reflex burned into the bones. She forced her hand still, willed her heartbeat to ease. You're safe. You chose peace. But the world rarely respects the wishes of ghosts. A sudden laugh burst near the food court, a group of teenagers joking too loudly. The noise cracked through the mall's calm. Camilla didn't flinch externally, but inside, her mind flashed white, a corridor, gun smoke, boots running, a voice screaming over chaos. La Sombra, cover them! Her own hands firing back without thinking, bodies falling, blood warm against polished floors just like these ones. And then, a gold ring heavy on her finger, cartel crest glinting, a mark that meant power, lineage, duty, death. Camilla blinked hard. Reality steadied. Mall scent returned. Coffee, cologne, air-conditioned whispers. She looked down at her left hand, bare. But if one looked closely, the faint indentation where that ring once lived still marked her skin, a scar of royalty in a kingdom of blood. You left that world, she reminded herself, burned the name, broke the oath, became no one. She traded thrones for cleaning cloths, swords for silence, war for anonymity, because peace was worth more than power. At least she prayed so. Jacob, the young security trainee, appeared beside her with tired eyes and a hopeful grin. Morning, Camila. She exhaled gently, a soft release of vigilance for his sake. How's Sophia feeling today? Her voice was low but warm, like it hadn't forgotten softness despite steel bones. Threatening to march down here and make me sit all shift, he chuckled. She thinks I'm overworking. A flicker, almost a smile. Listen, Jacob lowered his voice. Rumor is someone upstairs is angry. Just keep your head down today, okay? Camilla nodded once. Not fear. Prediction. Fate always circles back, even when buried under false names and faded uniforms. As Jacob walked away, she glanced at her reflection again. Not a maid stared back. A shadow wearing peace like borrowed clothes. And somewhere in this glittering palace, a king believed dust should kneel. He had no idea he was about to awaken a legend the underworld once whispered about like a myth. La Sombra had tried to disappear. But some ghosts do not fade. They rise. Camilla watched Jacob's retreating figure disappear into the glow of storefront lights. For a moment, the mall's polished world felt human. But peace was always a fragile thing in her life, a soap bubble floating over knives. She resumed polishing a railing, movements fluid, mind-tracking reflections, exits, camera angles. Trained habit. A lifetime of survival disguised as work. Footsteps approached again, softer this time. Familiar. Jacob returned with 2 paper cups of cheap mall coffee, steam curling into the air like tiny prayers. Don't tell anyone, he whispered, offering one. I'm bribing the hardest worker on level 3. Camilla blinked, caught between suspicion and surprise. I don't drink coffee much, she murmured, but she took the cup anyway. Gesture mattered. Connection mattered, even if it terrified her. Jacob grinned. I'll convert you yet? They leaned against the railing together, 2 invisible people standing in a palace built for the loud and rich. Before we continue, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel and leave a comment with where you're from and what time you're watching. That way, YouTube will keep showing you stories just like this one. Let's go on. Baby name update, he announced dramatically. Sophia is still insisting on Batman. Camilla's lips twitched, just slightly. A powerful name. Exactly. He snapped his fingers like she'd confirmed the truth of the universe. Though, if we go with 2 kids, I'm thinking Robin for the second. Balance, you know? She actually laughed. Soft, small, but real. The sound surprised her more than him. Jacob exhaled with exaggerated relief. Finally, I've been trying to get you to laugh for 2 months. Her face relaxed, but only for a heartbeat. Joy, to her, was a flame she cupped carefully, always expecting a wind to snuff it out. You don't talk much, he said gently, like you're always watching. Camilla stilled. Her pulse ticked once, sharp. He didn't mean harm, but his curiosity brushed too close to buried bones. I had a noisy life once, she replied quietly. I prefer silence now. Jacob studied her, not with fear, but with a soft sort of awe. You move like a soldier, he said, or someone who's seen things. The world seemed to tilt, a dizzying half-second where her vision tunneled and the mall lights blurred into memory. Gunfire. Screams. The echo of a name she no longer answered to, La Sombra. Camilla forced her body to remain relaxed, lifting the coffee to trap trembling fingers. I watched a lot of movies growing up, she answered lightly, a shield disguised as humor. Jacob chuckled. He believed her, or pretended to, out of kindness. Whatever you used to be, he said, voice earnest. You're good now, and my kid is going to need good people around. The words hit her like a quiet thunder. Good. As if she could still be that. She swallowed. Your child will have a strong father. That is enough. Still, he shrugged, I'd want them to meet you someday. You've got this dignity, like you lost a crown and didn't complain about it. Her heart jerked. He had no idea how close he was. Before she could answer, a voice crackled over the mall PA, clipped, commanding, Security, office, now. Jacob sighed. Duty calls. He squeezed her shoulder, warm, human, and jogged away. Camilla stood alone again, coffee cooling in her hand, peace thinning in the air like glass about to crack. Connections were dangerous, but Jacob's kindness had carved a tiny space in her armor, a reminder of the world she once wished she could belong to. And somewhere above them, a billionaire sharpened his cruelty like a blade. The mall shimmered, polished chrome, designer window displays, weekend crowds drifting like lazy currents through a palace of wealth. Camilla had just finished wiping fingerprints off the luxury escalator railing when she felt the air sharpen, a presence cutting through the hum of chatter and perfume mist like a blade. Ethan Vale, flanked by 2 executives and a store director trembling behind a tablet. The crowd parted around him instinctively. Money always commanded space. His shoes stopped inches from her mop bucket. Well, Ethan purred, voice smooth as glass dipped in poison. The maid who thinks she's relevant. Conversation stalled, phones lowered, heads turned. Camilla lifted her eyes, calm, empty of fear, posture humble, yet rooted like stone. Good afternoon, Mr. Vale, she said softly. The greeting held no submission, just acknowledgement. He hated that. You filed a report against my staff, he announced loudly, like a king delivering law. Against my mall. I filed a report for a worker who was assaulted, she replied. Your title does not erase truth. Gasps flickered through the onlookers. A mother tugged her daughter closer. A teen's phone shook as they hit record. Ethan's jaw ticked. Oh, don't misunderstand, he continued, tone sweet like rotting fruit. The staff here are like family. You accusing one of them is problematic. You mean inconvenient, Camilla murmured. Her voice was quiet, but quiet things echo when the world holds its breath. The executives stiffened. Store managers exchanged looks. Maids don't challenge billionaires, Ethan said finally, venom cracking through his smile. People like you don't challenge me. There it was, the whip in his words, power built on belittling. Camilla didn't flinch, didn't shrink. Instead, she rested one hand on her cleaning cart with gentle precision, the posture of someone who'd once commanded armies, not aisles. "People like me," she answered, voice low and steady, "built empires you only buy." Silence ignited like fire in dry leaves. A single whispered "damn" rippled through the onlookers. Ethan's face twitched, mask cracking. Humiliation is a fragile thing. Pride bleeds fast when pierced. He stepped closer, breath dangerous. "You forget your place." Camilla held his gaze, not hostile, not afraid, simply unmovable. "I know it," she replied. "Do you know yours?" The temperature shifted. The crowd could feel the collision coming. Security radios buzzed somewhere in the distance. Ethan leaned in, voice barely audible. "I will crush you so quietly no one will ever know you existed." Camilla's lashes lowered, not in fear, but in weary expectation. "I've been erased before," she whispered. "It never lasts." He straightened sharply, unsettled, control slipping like sand. "Walk away," he snapped at her, voice brittle. But he wasn't giving orders anymore. He was reacting. Camilla simply dipped her head, small, respectful, yet somehow triumphant. "I have work to do, sir." She moved past him, as if he were a statue and she was real marble that survived centuries. The crowd parted for her this time. Ethan watched her leave, chest tight, hand curled into an aching fist. For the first time in his empire of polished glass, someone had made him feel breakable, and he would not forgive it. The mall at night is a cathedral of polished silence. Neon lights breathing slow across glass, escalators humming like distant oceans, every sound stretched thin by loneliness. Most people find malls comforting when empty. Camilla does not. She knows quieter places than this where men vanished and bodies never touch sunlight again. She wipes a counter, slow and methodical, but her mind is scanning reflections, blind corners, exits, camera angles. Her pulse is steady, her posture relaxed, yet a storm coils beneath her calm like wire pulled tight. Footsteps, 3 sets, heavy, rhythmic, guard-trained cadence. She doesn't turn. She doesn't need to. Predators announce themselves not with sound, but with the arrogance of believing they own the room. Ethan Mercer appears in the mirrored glass before he steps into sight, jaw sharp enough to cut the world, suit immaculate, expression carved from marble and entitlement. 2 security men flank him, thick-necked and postured, as if strength came from size rather than intent. "Still cleaning floors?" he asks, voice dripping with bored superiority. Camilla keeps wiping. "Still wasting time trying to intimidate minimum wage workers." His smile doesn't reach his eyes. "You embarrassed me today." "No," she corrects softly. "You did that yourself." A flicker, a crack. His ego is a porcelain dynasty. She touched it, and now he bleeds humiliation disguised as rage. He steps closer. Too close. The guards shift, blocking the nearest exit. Camilla's muscles coil invisibly. Her eyes flick once. Ventilation grate above, mop bucket metal handle, nearest camera angle, blind spot. If she had to dismantle them, 8 seconds, maybe less. "What made you think?" Ethan murmurs, leaning in, "that someone like you gets to stand up to me?" Camilla turns slowly, finally meeting his gaze. There is nothing submissive in her eyes, nothing fearful, just stillness weighted with history. "Don't provoke sleeping wolves," she says, voice like winter steel. "They don't wake harmless." For a second, he freezes, as if something ancient prowls behind her gaze, something that recognizes power and knows how to unmake it. And then indignation floods in to patch the fear. "You're nobody." His whisper trembles with fury. I could ruin your life with a phone call. You assume I only have one, she replies. His jaw locks. He lifts his hand slightly, testing dominance, testing reaction. Footsteps again. He lowers his hand slowly as a corporate legal representative rounds the corner with a tablet and badge, eyes widening at the scene. Mr. Mercer, the rep says immediately, voice careful. Cameras, staff present. Perhaps another time. Ethan's glare could scorch marble. He withdraws, smoothing his suit, pretending control he doesn't have. This isn't over, he says. Not a threat, an obsession blooming. Camilla watches him go, posture still, breath steady, but her fingers tremble once, only once before she stills them at her side. Her peace was a fragile dream, and power, she knows, does not let its prey walk silently away. The wolves are stirring, and one of them just decided to hunt again. Camilla finishes the shift with hands steady but heart unsettled, a quiet storm behind her ribs. The mall lights dim one tier at a time, humming into night mode, and the silence feels heavier than before, as if the building itself senses what's coming. She should feel relief at clock out. Instead, her skin prickles with the warning she once lived by. Peace is the most fragile lie. She walks into the employee corridor, where fluorescent lights buzz like old secrets. Alone, she opens her locker. Not for her bag, but for the shadow of who she used to be. From behind folded clothes, she pulls a small pouch, fingers brushing fabric like touching a grave. Inside, a black phone, encrypted, no carrier ID. A thin silver necklace with a crest pendant sharpened like a blade. A single-use SIM card, and tucked in cloth, the edge of an inked mark hidden just beneath her sleeve. Faded tattoo lines once kissed by ritual blood. Not just a past, a crown she abandoned. Her thumb brushes the phone screen. It stays dark. She doesn't turn it on. Not yet. She closes her eyes and memory slices through her like a ritual knife. A courtyard lit by torches. Gun smoke floating like incense. Men kneeling in black. A young boy, her brother, pressing his forehead to hers, whispering in Spanish, El poder no se toma, se recuerda. Power isn't taken, it's remembered. A gunshot, a scream swallowed by stone walls, her hands shaking, not with fear, but grief held like fire. She sees it too clearly, feels the weight of her old name like a blade at her spine. La Sombra, the shadow, the one cartels didn't find. They lost her. And power, she knows, never forgives being forgotten. A knock snaps her eyes open. Jacob stands at the doorway, backpack slung, smile tired but warm. Hey, you okay? You look like you're preparing for war or something. She forces a breath, masks herself. Just tired. He laughs lightly. You? Tired? I thought you were secretly a superhero. If only he knew. His smile fades as he reads something in her eyes. Fear, or maybe warning. Camilla? She steps closer, lowering her voice, every instinct sharpened. Be careful tonight, Jacob. Don't walk alone to your car. Call security escort if you need to. He frowns. Why? What happened? Did someone? Nothing happened. Yet. But a hunter has chosen her again, and violence has a scent. She touches his arm. Not affection, but protection disguised as casual. Just trust me. Jacob searches her face, then nods quietly. Okay. He leaves. Lights hum. The hallway seems longer now, stretched like a threat. Camilla exhales slowly. Peace was her prayer. But destiny doesn't knock softly. It breaks doors. And tonight, she feels the hinges weakening. The shadow she buried isn't dead. It's waking. The world returns in a roar of footsteps, chatter, perfume, wealth. Weekend chaos, families, influencers, guards in polished suits. Cameras glitter like hungry insects in the bright atrium. And at the center, where polished marble reflects sins in perfect clarity, Ethan Vale's hand is locked around Camilla's throat. Time snaps back to the moment we left behind. His fingers dig in, bruising. His jaw clenches, face red with fury, teeth bared like a wolf who has never been denied prey. "You think you can defy me?" he hisses, voice shaking with ego, not fear. "Know your place. You're nothing. You belong on your knees, obedient." Her spine hits the marble pillar. Air presses thin in her lungs, but her posture does not collapse. She makes no desperate clawing, no panicked gasp. Camilla stands in stillness, like a blade sheathed, waiting. Security forms a wall around them, muscle and arrogance blocking the path of trembling shoppers. Someone tries to push through, blocked. A woman gasps, clasping her child's shoulder. A man whispers, "Is she crazy? Why isn't she fighting back?" Phones rise. Screens capture atrocities faster than justice ever moves. Someone murmurs, fear threading awe. Who is she? Ethan hears it. His pride snarls. His grip tightens. Look at them. They see. You're nobody. I make the rules in this world. Mall music plays like a cruel backdrop, soft piano floating over brutality. Camilla's eyes don't blink. Her gaze is still and sharp, like she's staring through him, not at a billionaire, but at a man already buried. Inside her, a quiet door thuds open, the one she built chains around. Not yet rage, not panic, memory, gun smoke, kneeling men, a name whispered like worship and fear. La Sombra. Her pulse steadies instead of racing. Even Ethan feels it. His breathing falters, confusion flickering. "Why are you looking at me like that?" he spits, as though her calmness threatens to swallow his power whole. She speaks, voice low, not strained despite his grip, steady enough to chill the nearest guard. "You have no idea what you just resurrected?" Ethan's nostrils flare. "I'll destroy you!" Her lips barely part, tone lethal soft. "You just signed your end." Gasps spread like flames. Security stiffens. A few phones lower, not out of mercy, but instinctive dread. She is not prey. She is patience made flesh. A storm sealed, now cracking open. And in the tension between two breaths, everyone senses it. This is not a maid being punished. This is a tyrant touching a sleeping wolf. And he just pressed down on its throat. Chaos fractures the atrium like glass under pressure. Security finally pries Ethan's shaking hands from Camilla's throat, his knuckles white, breath ragged with wounded pride. Lawyers in sharp suits flood in. Police radio static crackles through tense air. Whispers roll across polished floors like rumors carried on wind. "She didn't flinch. Who is that woman?" "He grabbed her. He's finished." Ethan stumbles back, chest heaving, face flushed with the humiliation of losing control in front of his kingdom. His empire of polished marble and obedient silence suddenly feels porous, fragile. A king realizing thrones can crack. Camilla doesn't rub her neck, doesn't shake or tremble. Instead, she steps away slowly, not retreating, but returning to herself. Every movement measured, disciplined. The kind of grace forged in blood and survival, not born from training videos or yoga mornings. Her calm is no longer quiet. It's a warning. She doesn't look at Ethan again. Predators don't study prey after deciding its fate. As paramedics check a witness who fainted, as corporate handlers whisper in panic, as police try to untangle power from law, Camilla walks, smooth, controlled. Air parts around her like it remembers another world where obedience belonged to her name. Down a back hallway, past the staff corridor, to the same locker room where just hours before she begged peace to hold. It didn't. She opens her locker. The pouch waits, patient as death. She takes the phone. It feels heavier than memory, lighter than guilt, the weight of inevitability. She hesitates only once. He forced this, she whispers to the metal door. But even she knows the truth. She was always one push from return. The phone starts cold, screen black for a heartbeat too long. Then, green encryption flash. A number she deleted 100 times rises in muscle memory. 1 ring. Breath held, 2 rings, passed, clawing to the surface. 3, a voice answers, not curious, terrified. La Sombra? Silence stretches, reverent and trembling. You live? The voice breathes, somewhere between prayer and warning. Camilla closes her eyes. Ethan's hand still phantom tight on her throat, but her pulse? Steady, certain, the way it was the night her father named her heir in whispered blood. I do, she says, voice clean, sharp, reborn iron. She looks at her reflection in the locker mirror. The maid uniform doesn't shrink her anymore. It's just camouflage dissolving. Prepare the old network. A pause. Shock. Then obedience. The kind that power remembers. Yes, Signora, immediately. She lifts her chin slightly, predator calm returning like a crown settling home. Someone must learn, she says, quiet thunder, what power really is. The call ends with a click that sounds like fate locking. Back in the atrium, Ethan watches her leave, hands trembling slightly, confusion curdling into dread. His mouth opens, but no command forms. For the first time in his polished empire, fear crawls under his tailored suit. He thought he grabbed a maid, he woke a legend. And there are forces older and sharper than money. For the first time in his life, Ethan Vale realizes he has truly made an enemy, and kings fall harder than criminals. Leave a comment below if you'd like an episode 2.